As a general rule, when someone has a dream and they are actively involved in what's taking place in the dream, then the dreamer has a literal meaning in the interpretation of the dream. But sometimes dreams don't follow the rules, and that's what we're going to take a look at today. We're going to look at 3 situations in which the dreamer is actively involved in the dream, but is not literal in the interpretation. Hi, and welcome back. I'm Steven Ugan from YourDreamsCoach.com. Over the years, I've helped many people understand their dreams, and I'm really excited to take the opportunity to share with you some of the knowledge that I've gained so that you can start to figure out your own dreams. So now let's take a look at these 3 different situations in which a dreamer could be actively involved in their dream and yet not be taken literally. Number 1, when the dreamer serves in a certain role in real life, the dreamer could then represent that role within the dream. For example, let's say someone is an intercessor in real life, and they have a dream, and in that dream, they're sitting in a generic-looking church building, and all of a sudden they hear alarms start going off. They look around, and no one else seems to hear the alarm. But because they hear the alarm, they immediately begin to respond in prayer. In this dream, the generic-looking church building could represent the church at large, and the dreamer could actually represent intercessors in general. And so in this dream, the Lord is saying that the intercessors will hear warnings from the Lord, even when others are oblivious to them, and they will respond in prayer. All right, number 2, when the dreamer is known for a certain gifting in real life, they could represent that gifting within the dream. And maybe you're already familiar with this concept when it comes to other people in your own dreams. Say you have a friend who's really prophetic, and you know that when you have a dream about them coming and giving you a message, that it doesn't mean that that particular friend has a message for you, but more that there's a prophetic word that's coming your way. Well, likewise, if you are really prophetically gifted, and that's what you're known for, you could have a dream in which you are telling someone else a message. And what it means is not necessarily that you need to tell that person something, but that that person is about to receive a prophetic message from the Lord. I have a friend who is really prophetically gifted, and often she will have a dream in which she is telling someone something, and that's exactly what it's about. Not necessarily that she needs to tell them something, but that that person is about to receive a prophetic message from the Lord. A third situation in which the dreamer may not be literal in their dream is when the dreamer represents a larger group that he or she is part of. So let's say you're part of your management team at work. And let's say you have a dream in which some of the salespeople are gossiping about you. Well, in this case, it's possible that you represent the management team at work, and the Lord is showing you that there's gossip happening amongst the salespeople, not necessarily just about you, but about management in general. Now, you might ask if we have any biblical examples of this concept. Although not exactly parallel, we do have a similar situation happen with Paul in the book of Acts, chapter 16, verses 9 through 10. It says, during the night, Paul had a vision of a man of Macedonia standing and begging him, come over to Macedonia and help us. After Paul had seen the vision, we got ready at once to leave for Macedonia, concluding that God had called us to preach the gospel to them. Now you can see what happens in this vision is there's just one guy from Macedonia, but the Lord was not calling Paul and his companions just to preach to this one man. In fact, it wasn't necessarily that they were even supposed to look for this particular man, just that they were supposed to go to Macedonia and preach the gospel to the Macedonians. So this one man represents the larger group that he was a part of. In the same way, when you, as the dreamer, are part of a larger group, you might represent that larger group within your dream. So now we've looked at 3 different situations where dreams break the rules, but it's important to remember that these really are exceptions. In fact, because it's so rare for the dreamer to be figurative in their dream, I like to take the approach that I'm going to assume that the dreamer is literal unless there's a compelling reason within the dream for me to believe otherwise. And of course, as always, It takes ongoing conversation with the Holy Spirit while you're interpreting the dream to figure out when the dreamer may not be literal in their dream. If you've had a dream in which you feel like you were figurative for something, please share that in the comments below.